Hey, data scientist, engineers, Pythonistas. Okay, so in this video, I want to show you a neat little project that I built in an afternoon with Python. It's a small little Python project that you can do at home. You can follow along. If this is an introduction to Python, it might be a little advanced, but if you've just done the basics, I think you can follow along and we can build a neat little Python interface, a neat little thing together. Let's do it right now. Okay, so what is this thing? Well, what it is when I run this script, Python ingestion main, this is part of a larger project that I'm working on, but this is a small little self-contained thing. What it does is it prints out from me from a subreddit the recent top posts in descending upvote order, and it gives me essentially their data. So I could just read this data from Reddit. I'm getting it from the live site, and so I've just display it to the console here, and it's a different random subreddit that I've chosen. And so this is from Futurology. This is created today. And here's the title, and then it gives me some other output. I don't want all of the output from Reddit posts. I kind of just want to skim the headlines and then see what people are talking about. And so every time I run it, it should give me a different random subreddit that I've listed. So this is from Science, and so here are the top recent posts. So let's dive into it. So basically all of this, the code for this lives in this one file, and I'm going to work backwards and show you how it works. Okay, so what you need just time, date, import datetime as DT, import random. You're also going to need a Reddit instance, which you can make from praw. Praw is a part of Reddit's API where you can get scrape data from Reddit. I've done other videos on praw, and there are tutorials that you can find. You're also going to need just a list of subreddits. I have some here. Here are the subreddits that I'm pulling from: Futurology, Technology, Economics, Science, Ask Science, Books, Software Engineering, Python, and Data Science. And let me start from the bottom, because this is actually what I'm running. So let's start with different sections of the code. Okay, so this is if name equals main. I get the data from Lambda handler. Okay, so whatever this thing is, it's going to give me back some data. I don't need that other list. Okay, so I get the data from this function. Note that I'm passing none in. I'll talk about that later. And then from the data that I'm returning, which is a list, I'm just going to print the title, which you saw, and then I could print other things about that data. So I have the ups, the subreddit, created UTC, and self-text. I have other attributes, so I can see. Let's see, what do I want to see? Maybe not the submission URL. I think I got a lot of what I care about. Maybe the short link. Well, anyway, if I want to just see the author, let's say, I can add it to this list down here of things that will display out. And when I rerun this, this should give me that data. So this is from Python. Just a couple of posts that are above the 500 limit threshold that I set. Cow dog detected with Python and OpenCV. That actually sounds pretty interesting. And now I have the author of it down there. Okay, so let's keep going. So this is getting the data from this function that I have, Lambda handler. And then this is the actual printing and formatting of the data in the terminal here. Okay, so let's look at Lambda handler. It takes an event and a context. Now this is if you are interested in, okay, so there's a little bit more advanced, but if you're interested in making this run on a regular basis in AWS, Amazon Web Services, the main function is usually called a Lambda handler. So in another video, and I have gone over this a bit, about putting this on AWS and having it run, let's say, every day or every 3 hours or something like that. So I just pull from the list of subreddits a random one, and I do that because the subreddit is a list, so I get a random integer for the length of the subreddit list, and I just grab one of those. So this will give me a random subreddit from the list that I showed before on science, economics, Ask Science. And then I get the data from this other hot submissions function, which I will show you soon. And then I sort it. This is just sorting it. In a recent Fluent Python video, I show how you can sort by the key here. So this will sort. I pass in a lambda and sort by the number of ups. I could sort by something else. I could sort by created UTC. So now when I rerun this, it should sort by created UTC. So I'll come back to that in a second. And then I just return the data. So now the next function to go to and check on is this hot submission. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so now this I got back from Ask Science, and this is actually sorting. You can see it goes from 8:15 to 8:14 to 8:13. There's an 8:12, 8:12, 8:11. Okay, so that is sorting by the created time. I don't want to sort by the created time, so I'm going to undo that. Okay, so hot submissions, let's go to this function. So connects to subreddit and then iterates through submissions and returns them in lists. So this is actually where the data list is created. I get this Reddit instance, which is praw, which I described before. I get the specific subreddit, and then I get the hot submissions. And then for each of those hot submissions, if it is past the minimum number of upvotes, which I passed in 500 here, what I'm going to do is clean it, add to the dictionary that's returned, article is returned in its clean dictionary, the subreddit that comes from, and then append it to the data list and return that. So that's a lot, but basically what I'm doing is I'm getting all of these raw submissions from a subreddit, cleaning them into Python dictionaries, attaching them to a list that's this data, and then returning that data. So the last thing that we'll need to see is how do we actually clean this subreddit submission, and that's this clean submissions function right here. Okay, so clean submission is taking a Reddit submission. We're finding the now date, and we have to do it in ISO format because if we want to store this in a database, I like to store these in Amazon DynamoDB database. It needs to be in ISO format. If there's an author, we're going to find the author submission, get the submission author. If there's not, we're going to say that's none. And then now the rest of this data is just attributes of the praw Reddit submission. So the ID, the title, the score, the URL, the name, the author, etc. We set the created UCT time, which we found above here in ISO format. And then archived is just when did this program pull that submission. So I make sure that if there is an empty string for any of these keys in this data, if any of them come back as just empty strings, I set them to none. And that's just another way of when I wanted to save some of these to an AWS DynamoDB, a database in the cloud, to make sure that that data saved accurately. So that's it. That's all that this one little file is and all of the functions in it. You can replicate this pretty easily. All you will need is a Reddit instance from Praw and then a list of subreddits that you want to scrape. This is part of another growth test tube incubator program. You can check out the incubator program at growthtesttube.com. So I'm not going to distribute this code, but you saw all of it, so you can find it and take it. But it's pretty neat. Look, it returns from the recent Ask Science is about Megalodon. So just a small little thing that you can do with Python in your spare time over an afternoon. So check it out, and I will see you around for the next video. Thanks for watching.